have your band beside you for this setup, and then come and lay down on your back. We're going to open with bridging and getting a sense of how the spine is moving today. Really looking initially at creating some freedom, and so landing the pelvis and feeling the back of the body against the floor. How is that? Giving yourself a beat or two just to drop back. So quite often laying down, you can still be holding yourself up. And so how does that feel to not hold yourself up? Yield, if you like, to the mat. Notice the weight of you. And then when you're ready, you're going to start to stand into your feet. And you're already thinking about a tripod of contact. Big toe side, little toe side of the forefoot, and then of course through the heel. And that might change via the movement. Of course, the knees are changing. The hip position is changing as you're standing down there. So just picking up on what you notice. Do the feet need to change, having done a couple of those? And is there a feeling of rolling through the ribs? Whether that's you're heading down or you're heading up. Is there enough weight in them to sense the gradual lift? Where are your shoulder blades? You might even notice as you're travelling up that even though the arms are relaxed, they are also changing, particularly where they meet the joint of the shoulder. So as your body moves upwards, your shoulders move into an extension pattern. You could think dart laying on your front, but do you notice that change? Finding two blades, a little bit of movement through the tops of the arms as a result of the movement of the spine. And so whilst there hasn't been any intention through the arms, we know that there is a knock-on effect there as well, a little bit of a subtle change. If you take your band here and have it across your lap, it will fold over itself slightly, and you can play around with how much band you're going to utilise. Arms are straight. You might feel that they have to be a little stronger in their contact with the floor, and then once more tripod through the feet before you're pushing against the resistance of your band, and then sighing to bring yourself back down again. And you might be able to hear there's more of a purposeful breath pattern now on your way up, especially of using the breath out to help deflate the ribs. So there's a feeling of sound organisation then through the torso. Sacrum working to move high. And then, having landed from that last one, you can leave your band where it is, moving the arms now, particularly considering the shoulders. So they've already been moving in and out of extension, and so now you can think about the flexed pattern, which is the arms above your head. And so that's travelling past the ceiling point and arcing, fingertips reaching to the wall behind you. And once more, you can be looking at, with your felt sense, what do you notice about the back of your body against the floor there as you're arcing the arms? So pelvis, lower ribs, if they're in contact, moving shoulder blades. Palms are facing in towards each other as we're arcing back here. You're just picking up on the space you might feel, whether it's more through the armpit for you or the elbows. Maybe you sense the space in the side body, or maybe it's the rib cage. You sort of feel the expansion through the side body as you're moving. This is going to turn into single arms, and the palms will still stay facing inwards, and they pass each other and they're facing in towards each other. And then the next time your palms are in line with each other, up at the ceiling point there, we're going to head into open and close. So you have the unity once more. There is a touch of a coordination challenge. Could you be looking at that from the back of you? So the shoulder blades rolling, or maybe it's more that you feel the weight through the ribs increasing towards the outsides of the shoulder blades. Maybe that helps you with the symmetry as opposed to the loss of the palms through your sight. Just pick up on what you notice there. What's the easiest way for you to determine as much balance as you can, so that the front of the chest gets to open up there, both sides. We have our last one here, and then back up towards the ceiling. That's going to take us nicely into book openings. So grabbing your head cushions then and coming to lay on your side. You've got your setup. Don't need the band there anymore. And so you're looking at the insides of your feet. Arms outstretched in front of you. And I'm going to take one more here. Feel free to continue. And pausing when you're back there. So whizzing over onto your second side, taking your time to set up. I'll take one more on this side. Bring yourself back onto your back. We're going to head into some single dead bugs. So one leg at a time repetitively, and that's going to take us into a single leg of bridging. So organising yourself, finding yourself back on your back. Definitely want to take some time over that, having rotated numerous times to one side. Check in. And then standing down into one foot to float one leg. Inhaling when you're up there if you want some guidance with the breath pattern, and exhaling to come down. We're going to stick with the same leg with this feeling of being centered through the pelvis still. And if that feels quite straightforward for you, a little how we did last week with the pole, you can take the arms away, shoulder blades connected with the floor. Last one. Arms can come down. I'll do the same thing on the other side, down to come up. And then options for your arms off once more. And bring your arms down. So if you go head back to the first leg there. And so there's this sense that you've created some give through the moving hip. And so that thigh bone is going to alter its angle relative to your torso as a result of the pelvic tilt. So you'll stand into your foot, and we go back to tripod there. hovering the pelvis and tilting the pelvis back towards the rib cage as the hips are climbing. Breath in up at the top of the movement and breath out to bring yourself back. Same idea. Tripod, forefoot and heel, knee reaching long and away. And then breathing out each time to bring yourself down. Arms are going to look to stay as relaxed as they were before. And then remember how we noticed that there is a sense that the upper arm bone is moving relative to the spine and the shoulder blades changing, along with the ribs, of course. Pause when you're down there. Feel free to lower. I took one of those toes apart, heels into line setups prior. You might want to do the same. Stand and float, and then down to come up once more. Feel the feet, and then breathing out to return. You can keep the leg raised there and take the second leg up to join. Interlace the fingers to take them behind the head there. So with the legs raised, or you may choose to have your feet down separately, that would also work. We're just going to look at taking several chest lifts here. So with the legs raised, you might find that it just feels a little bit more comfortable to bring the knees in very slightly, depending on how your lower back reacts to that. Most likely it's going to have dropped a little closer to the mat. And so you take your breath out, easy through the gaze there, sending the back ribs back, and then inhaling to bring yourself back down again. Breathing out as you would if your feet were down on the floor, and then breathing in to return. If you rotated as an addition, so curling yourself up, and you rotated towards one knee, could you straighten the other leg long and away from you, bring yourself back to center, and lay yourself down. And we will alternate, so curling up first, find your center, and then slowly, the shin may feel like it drops, the big toe is reaching forwards and away from you, completely straight through the leg there to finish, and laying yourself down. Forward with your upper body still. Last one. And then laying down. From there you can choose to bring your hands up the backs of the legs. You're going to send the legs forward, drop the feet to the floor, and roll yourself up to seated. We're going to take a prep really for the backs of the legs with our spine stretch. And that's going to take us into Mermaid and our single arm balance work today as well. And so I've elevated myself on a block cushion there, just for comfort through the base of the pelvis. You might choose to have your feet a little wider, maybe even the knees are soft as well. And then the arms are going to go out in front of you. Shoulder blades are on the back. Lower your gaze when you're ready, taking a breath out there. Look to keep a similar alignment in the parallel idea of the arms and the legs. So the fingertips are looking to stay out and in front of the shoulders. And then as you unravel, of course, checking in with that. Notice whether there is a little bit more weight to one heel over the other. Sometimes that can be created by a little bit more give through the back of one leg than the other. And remember, we're looking to create an even amount of length through the backs of both legs. So how does that then change for you? Lower your gaze. I'll head into rotation. So rotating to the right, spin your lower ribs, take a forward bend. The right arm will drop and it will lift behind you. So the right hand is now reaching away from the left hand. Left hand is reaching away from the right. Pull the hands away from each other so it begins to turn your head more to the right. Drop the right arm back, reversing the movement, bringing yourself back upright and unravel to center. So the initial rotation through the low ribs there doesn't have to be a huge one, remember. Lowering your gaze, taking yourself forwards. Left arm will drop as you've rotated to the left here. Reach the fingertips away from the right hand, and then pulling the hands away from each other will in fact turn you to the opposite side. So your ear effectively drops towards the arm and the gaze turns around the corner. And so in terms of spinal movement, we're taking rotation first, then we're forward bending, and then we're adding in an element of rotation at the end, knowing that our initial rotation feels like it's coming from slightly lower down in its sort of main feature. And then our final rotation feels like it's a little bit higher up through the body, shoulder blades, neck area. Swing back through, unravel, and bring yourself back to center. You could keep the same setup of your blocks if you use them there and head into Mermaid. And this seated position of Mermaid is going to also add in a little bit of that multiple spine movements. So finding your sit bones to begin with and noticing how that is. And so you're lifting your arm and taking your initial side bend. Breath in when you're here. Before you return. This last one, we're going to begin to add in some rotation. And so that arm pushes down into the floor, which is your beginnings of rotating downwards towards the floor. It might feel like it's enough. You could also, of course, turn your gaze to the back of the room. Hand comes underneath the arm there. You head into your side bend from there. So really looking at orientating your torso around your shoulder joint to find yourself back where you started. And so side bend, pushing the floor away, swallowing the rib cage at the front there on that left side before you're down and through, looking underneath the left arm there, head towards the back of the room, back into your side bend, gauging it all the time, noticing at these times where it does feel less in terms of range, whether there is a tendency to breathe less as well. So pausing, using the breath out just to bring yourself round a little bit further. If that really lands and resonates with you, bringing yourself upright after that last one, and then switching your legs to the opposite Z sit. How's this one working out for you? If you feel like you're well organised and ready to go, feel free to start. You have your arm arc. We're then adding in our rotation. Plenty of breath, remember. And be kind to yourself for this first one. Use the arm, the upper arm especially, shoulder bringing you back. And pausing when you're up. So we are heading into twist now on the arm, which is part of the family of side lift and side bend, which we have been doing more recently on the arm. If you prefer the side lift and the side bend, then of course you could either go to forearm here, bent or straight legs, straight arm here, bent legs or more elongated. As we set up for twist, what we're going to look to do is use two hands. Allow a more lengthened leg alignment And once more, splitting the feet. So your top foot comes forward here. And so what we have then is this opportunity to reenact pushing down with the feet and the arms. You've got a spare hand here, but it's there and ready for you. Send the hips up high. You're thinking spine stretch there, and notice how the hand has pushed you back. You're rotating underneath your straight arm, and you have your other hand there as a just in case as you unravel back out of that movement. And so in terms of organisation, your left arm is in line with your hip. Your right hand is more staggered forward wherever you feel like you need it to be. And chances are you don't need it so much other than that initiation of taking the hips off. So once more, pelvis pushes down. That's where it's there for you. But by the time you're up and your sit bones are wide and you're looking underneath, you might find that you don't need that hand so much. It doesn't serve you quite as much as the left. Taking one more of these. Of course, feel free to adjust your feet. I just moved mine closer in. Of course, that's going to mean then as the hips go up, there's a bigger pull through the back and sides of the legs to come up. Let's see how that works for you. Heading over onto the other side. So similar options that we've been working on so far as our side bend. Starting with that stacked look, left hand and arm. My left, your right are in line with the side of your hip there. And then extending the legs away, staggering your top foot forward. And you've got your left hand at the ready as well. So pushing down into the floor, sending the floor away. So there's a push back there for you to send your head down a little and the pelvis up and back a little. Think about a TP shape where the pelvis is the highest point, down to come up. Maybe you can look around the corner, slowly unraveling to bring yourself back down again. This is your last one. Well done. Down to come up. Right arm is really straight, hips are high, and then unraveling again, torso over the arm bone to bring you back to where you started. And so we're going to head into a little bit of rolling down and rolling up, and we're going to use the band for this. This is going to take us into a banded variation of teaser, and so you can bring yourself into seated once more. How is that? Finding the middle of yourself and then grab your band. And so the knees might be soft as you send the soles of the feet forward and tilt the pelvis back towards the rib cage as you're moving down towards the floor. As you take your breath out, and you might be using your cushion, it's going to be the upper body in that chest lift moves first. Arms could lift just to help that little sense of connection through the front body before you're back up to where you started. So depending on that, how that's feeling, you might want to choose to use the band still and take this into a teaser movement. So lowering the gaze, sending the feet into the band. I've joined my heels together as well, just for a little bit of unity. Staying on the back of the sit bones, perhaps you could pull the arms away from each other, but there is still a sense of being curved from crown to tail. And then of course, use the band. Let the feet drop into the band away from you and down, and your arms will naturally narrow as a result of that. Before, you're definitely wanting feet to touch the ground ahead of the head, if you're not quite landing at the same time. Lowering the gaze, reaching the feet forward. It's the band that helps picking up the legs there, and you're staying on the back of the pelvis. So the arms are moving wide. I've got my palms down here. It just helps me create a stronger pull apart on the band, but I'm still not sitting with a lengthened spine. It's more of a long curved shape, and the feet are reaching away, and it is that sort of initial hurdle of how do I stay on the back of my sit bones. And you could of course be looking to land head and feet at the same time. Reaching to come up. Last one here. And then when you're down, take a roll up to bring yourself up to sit, and you can move your band away from there. Heading onto your front, we're going to look at single leg kick legs to begin with. So your head can be resting on your forehead, head can be resting on your hands, forehead resting, elbows out to the side. And feel free to fidget around here as you find yourself on your front and choosing whichever approach you want to. And before you send the pelvis down into the floor, reach one leg long and away, coming in. Extend the leg away, fully straight sensation before you rest down, alternating the legs, so reaching long and away from you. And of course you could be flexing through the ankle as you came in as well, taking it out to a point to rest. And pausing when you're down, prepping for dart with a mini swan. So reaching the crown of the head away, Moving slowly so we can go wide through the chest, shoulder blades pulling back, and then breath out to head back down again there. Inhaling. And exhaling. Arms moving into dart. Inhaling again. Could it just be breathing? Inhaling. Last one. Into child's pose from there, everyone. Begin to unravel. Take your time with that, of course. And then heading up to stand. We've got a little bit of standing roll down. Options to walk out into plank. And so finding yourself in your upright. Looking at the distribution of weight between the feet. How is that? And then lowering the gaze. Turning the ribs in. Walking out into plank as an option. And when you're up from those, you are done. Well done, everyone. Take care.